New,
The shed?
yeah, the shed this weekend.
Did I ever? I had a neighbor come over. It was cold as crap. He brought some vodka he was drinking and a couple cigars, and we were sitting out on my front porch, and he says to me, he says, why the hell are we sitting out here in the cold wind when we should be sitting in there? And I said, because I don't have any electric or anything in there run right now. He goes, man, I got to do it all. Gets up, walks across the street, comes back with a 100-foot extension cord and a generator that was already pre-charged. We could plug anything in, so we plugged in a portable heater, and there we were. So we sat there like a bunch of rednecks and drank, smoked cigars, and listened to tunes in the shed. Rocco, what's up, brother? I see Rocco up there. Dubes, what's going on, Dubes?
Hooser on hold.
All right, good to go. Let me run through a couple breaks.
Y'all could have just stepped inside the shell and knocked a little of the wind off of you and smoked and drank in there.
Well, we went and put it all in. We put a heater and everything in there. Show went good yesterday. That second hour with, or the third hour with Hawkins, was that the one where Hawkins had trouble connecting?
I don't remember exactly.
Because I wasn't on that one, believe it or not.
Oh, was that
was the one with Corwin.
Okay.
But it was a good hour. Alan Corwin is pretty good.
Yep.
All right. We look good on here. Who's your reason looks good? All right. Looks good. Looks like champ. Let me switch these bad boys out. The Millennial General coming on. Greg, we good?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let me know when we're 30 out.
Of course.
By the way, show picked up Jacksonville and Columbia, South Carolina last week.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, a couple more affiliates. Both top 50 ranked markets.
Cool.
Weekender picked up about 6 more.
Nothing wrong with growth.
Not at all, not at all.
We know it was due to the new production skills of the new board op.
I don't have a problem with that assessment at all, frankly.
Here we go, man. We're almost at 30.
It's true.
30.
is Armed American Radio's Daily Defense.
Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, because they don't want me to, that's why I do it.
Presented by X Insurance. X Insurance. From the gunbroker.com studios on the Crossbreed Holsters Platinum microphone.
They're never going to stop us here.
It's 2021, and we're in a new decade. Here is your host, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting the enemies of freedom, Mark Walters.
Inside these Armed American Radio Daily Defense Gunbroker sponsored.com studios on the Crossbreed Holsters microphone. Every single bit of this being brought to you today on radio stations across the country and online at facebook.com and YouTube. If you're watching the live stream, every bit of it being brought to you today by X Insurance, a superior AM Best A-rated company. If your freedom is on the line, don't go chump change. Get rid of those gimmicky membership plans that write policies to the group, and then you come in without, they don't even know who you are. They don't even know who you are. X Insurance knows who you are and writes a policy in your name. Don't play around with your freedom. You wouldn't do it for any other aspect of anything that's important to your life. Don't do it for your freedom when your freedom's at stake. Let's go right to the phone. Oh, wait, before I do that, no, let's go to the phones, because Andy Hooser joins us from KQAM Radio, the Millennial General, Andy Hooser, the voice of reason. How you doing, my brother?
Mark, it's always good to be with you, the Millennial General reporting for duty here on a beautiful Monday.
Well, I'll tell you what, Andy, I don't know if you had a chance to listen to the show last night, but I took the first half hour to kind of go through some of my thoughts as I was wrestling with the gun community. I hear a lot of gibber over there and jabber over here about the gun community and who the gun community is and what makes it up, and liberal gun owners, and how we have to be all-inclusive. And I say, no, we don't, not so fast. Put the brakes on. Just because you might own a gun does not necessarily make you my friend. You need to be vetted. And as you know, I wrote that column at Ammo Land. It's got some pretty good legs. And a couple other professionals have written about it as well. We talked about it in the opening 2 segments, and then Stephen Gutowski joined me after that, Neil McCabe, literally from parts unknown, longtime contributor. You know him as the One American News Network on-air reporter from the White House for many years, and a long time, at least 10-year to 11-year contributor on this program. And Andy, we could have had you on, and it would have been just as fun. How you doing, brother? Talk to me today.
Well, man, I'm living it. But like you say, I mean, it's beginning. What we warned about, what we were concerned about, it is officially here, and it's officially begun, and it's taken it to a whole new level. And it's different from talking theoretically and talking about speculative what could potentially happen if the bad guys take power, if the Democrats take control, if the anti-gunners take control. It's different from when we speculate what's going to happen and actually living through it. You read the journals about people that have been through war, and they try to describe what happened in a time of war kind of thing, but you never really understand the nitty-gritty details until you're actually there in person living through something like that. Yeah. And it's the same right now with our battle for freedom, with the battle for the Second Amendment. We always say, they're going to come after the firearm, and the people who are maybe not as politically engaged or maybe don't own a firearm and don't really care, and that's not true. You're just trying to promote a certain agenda, or you're just trying to hype it up or talking hyperbole.
Fear-mongering, Andy.
Mark, I mean,
fear-mongering.
It's the fear-mongering. But now we're living in a world where Democrats have the presidency in both chambers of Congress, and what are they doing? Their first agenda is to massively spend to bankrupt this nation with more COVID. I mean, we have $1 trillion that we haven't even spent on the last stimulus bill yet, and yet they want to do another $2 trillion bill, which is absolutely absurd. At the same time, while they're in the middle of that, trying to deal with a quote-unquote pandemic and trying to spend massive amounts of money, you hear Joe Biden going after the guns. You hear Marco Rubio going after the guns. You hear the Democrats in general going after guns. And, oh, by the way, if you're a Trump supporter, if you're a conservative, we need to censor you on social media. We need to take away your rights. And we probably need to suspend those Second Amendment rights at the same time because, well, you're just a threat. You may have not been the one burning down cities and protesting in the middle of the night for weeks on end or taking, autonomous zones, but you're probably a domestic terrorist, and now you don't deserve those Second Amendment rights either.
Okay, hold it. Stop there for a second. The Millennial General is on a roll, but I got to stop him here for just a moment for a reason. Andy, you're getting ahead of him. Let's go to Marco Rubio. Let's tie this together for listeners and for viewers. What Andy is referring to is a piece at National Justice. And you can see this at national-justice.com. Senator Marco Rubio introduces bill to suspend gun rights of anyone who has been investigated for domestic terrorism. Now let's go here briefly. This is a scary headline, but you've learned from me over the last 13 years, we don't headline surf. We dig deeper in. We look further into what's going on. What does that mean? What bill did he introduce? Andy, you want to give some follow-up on that, or you want me to lead us into that? Take it. It's up to you.
No, go ahead and talk about the details of it. I mean, it's what's really sad is the fact that Republicans are promoting this. But I mean, yeah, there's a lot of detail to this bill that's very concerning.
Let's tie that into my column where I stated very clearly, Democrats are the party of gun control, and they are. And I gave you the proof, page 47 and page 48 on the Democrat Party platform, and the Biden campaign's reining in gun violence. Let's just use the Biden plan to stop gun violence. It's a joke. It's all gun control, gun violence, gun safety to them. It's all gun control. We know that. It's repetitive, but we have to tell you what they're up to. That's what our job is here. And I made it very clear that you have one party that runs on a pro-gun platform. You have another party that runs on an anti-gun platform. Those are the parties. And I made it clear in my column that it's not about the individual. It's about agendas. It's about parties. It's about platforms. For the most part, the Republican Party, but you got individuals in there who can be moved and swayed. Now, Marco Rubio, who has an A-plus rating from the National Rifle Association, let's face it, the NRA probably hasn't looked at their rating deals ever since Wayne LaPierre started taking them downtown and burying them in the mud. But nonetheless, Marco Rubio has now and I want to make this point, reintroduced legislation, quoting, that seeks to suspend the Second Amendment rights of any person who has been investigated for terrorism-related offenses within 10 years of attempting a gun purchase. Andy, I don't know. I guess I could pick any one of the lunatic clown posse on the left who have recently made statements that all of Donald Trump supporters or anybody who doesn't agree with them should be considered by the DOJ as domestic terrorists. What does that make me, or what does that make you, as someone who's very vocal about talking about our gun rights? It'd be pretty simple for somebody to say, he incited violence. He's talking about this. We don't like what he talks about. And all of a sudden, we find out we can't buy a gun when we go to get our NICS check performed. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, it goes down all the way down to the average just hunter that wants a shotgun to be able to go, or rabbit hunting, with their kids. It's to the point where if you're a Republican, you're a conservative, you're a Trump supporter. Oh, and by the way, you also support your guns and you're vocal about your firearms, then you are probably an extremist who's ready to try and take over, with some type of military action or some type of, the physical action. So therefore, you need to be labeled as a domestic terrorist, and we need to not only allow you to be able to try and purchase a firearm, but they're literally debating bills on whether the police should be able to come into your home without
Correct.
a warrant to confiscate your firearms at the same time.
Will you stop jumping ahead of me? Are you on the same page? We didn't talk about this today. This is how like minds think. This is what I love about Andy. He gets it. He's on top of this stuff as a great radio host himself out of KQAM, Wichita's big talker. Lots of fans there. Thank you, guys. The Senate bill named the Terror Intelligence Improvement Act. The Terror Intelligence Improvement Act was re-entered last week, and I'm quoting now from National Justice, in hopes of exploiting the hysteria surrounding the January 6th Capitol protests. The law intends to violate the civil rights of American citizens who are not charged or convicted of a crime if somebody is deemed politically dangerous. So let's talk about ex parte. Let's go into red flag laws briefly. Ex parte, you don't need to be there. Done without your knowledge. What are you talking about? Why are you at my door at 3 o'clock in the morning? Who made an accusation against me? I've never heard of that person. That person teaches my daughter? I've never met that person. Why are you at my door trying to take my guns? Because that's what this means. No conviction. You don't even know you're being accused, yet now you're on a list that takes away your Second Amendment rights because somebody said something and decided to put you on that list. With today's leftists, Andy, I don't trust any of them. None of them. Oh, and by the way, Bruce Springsteen put a tweet out, I guess it was on the Super Bowl last night. I don't know. Didn't see him. I guess he tweeted all last year for the last 4 years how he hates us, hates Trump supporters. I guess he was on a Jeep commercial yesterday calling for unity. Yeah. Go pound salt, Springsteen. I don't listen to your music and haven't for years. I can't say on national radio what I
30.
think about you. So I don't know. I got sidetracked on there, Andy. I do apologize. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about the Terror Intelligence Improvement Act. It was re-entered. We'll talk a little bit about it with Andy, and then we'll talk about some other things that Andy probably knows I'm going to go down that road with because he's already hinted to it. I'm talking with the Millennial General, Andy Hooser, the voice of reason, KQAM Radio, Wichita's big talker in Wichita, Kansas. All right. What do we got? About a second left. 2 seconds, Greg. There we go. All right, good. Millennial General, Andy Hooser will be back with us in just a couple of moments. Andy, we'll be back with you right away. Don't go away. Armed American Radio will be back right after this.
Did you run out of words?
I lost track of time. I thought you said 30 seconds. It seemed like a lot more than 30 seconds. I apologize.
That's all right.
You know, you guys have been known to do that before. Tell me 30 seconds and then go, oh, I'm sorry, we have a minute.
Yeah, sometimes we do miscount.
It happens.
I guess it depends on which clock I'm looking at because my call screener clock is off by X amount, and then my actual Enco clock is on time. But
Also, I looked down. I thought, well, that's longer than 30 seconds. I'm past where I'm at. So, okay. Well, that's you get caught in that point where I can't go to him because I'm going to have to cut him off because it's a hard break. So,
yeah, and Andy doesn't know how to just say 2 sentences either.
No, he wants to keep going, which is good. I like that. It makes my job a lot easier when you have guests that want to keep going. It's interesting. He's literally, I kid you not, he's going right down my list of some of the things I wanted to talk with him about today.
Well, it sounds like y'all shared topic lists.
We did not. I'll let him put an exclamation point on that, and then I want to move on. Oh, looky there. Gun feed's got my column at the top of the center column there at the gun feed today. Ooh, yay. New Mexico Democrat pushing bill requiring gun storage in locked container. Did you see this? I still have you, correct?
Yep.
Did you see that New Mexico Democrat pushing bill requiring gun storage in locked container?
I did not.
So here's the take. Who in their right mind would really say, honey, did you lock the gun in the container before we go to bed tonight?
Moron.
It's against the law if we don't do that. Who would do that?
I'm just going to leave the gun container open and unlocked, so if something does happen, it looks like I rushed to it and opened it quickly.
I'll contain the gun in anything I want in my own home.
I think the holster's a container.
This is the whole Georgia, Georgia, we do this here, that you can't touch your phone in your car. It can't even be resting on your thigh. Really? So I can't touch my console either and play with. I can do all that, but I can't use my phone. You don't have the moral authority.
How is that enforceable?
They do it. Believe me, they put fake people at intersections that look like construction. They see people pick up a phone. It's
30.
done. Let me know 30. Good.
Yeah, Texas cops are not enforcing any kind of cell phone law. Hell, they're on their cell phone.
This upcoming segment of Armed American Radio is being sponsored by Gunbroker.com, the world's largest online marketplace to buy and sell firearms, ammo, and related accessories. That's Gunbroker.com. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the show indeed. Gunbroker.com. These are the Gunbroker.com studios. This is the Lead Slinger's microphone during the Sunday show, Crossbreed Holsters microphone during the daytime show. It is the Carr Firearms Group studios on Sunday. And guess what? Every bit of it is being presented to you by X Insurance. Let's not forget some of the rest of our sponsors, please. Gunbroker.com, blowing up out there. And to the millions of you who are using Gunbroker, look, I know you can't find it on your store shelves. Gunbroker has it. I know because I've done it myself. My Pillow, this angers me beyond anything. Andy, let's go to you real quick while I talk about some of the sponsors. But My Pillow, Mike Lindell, the left attempting to cancel this human being, this man, kill his jobs, kill his company, crush the tax base. You now have this little skin tag, David Hogg, the Parkland survivor who was in a completely different building a few acres away, by the way, out there running his mouth now about wanting to be a pillow maker to compete with the My Pillow guy. I mean, this is how ridiculous it is from the crazy left. Support the guy. The promo code is AAR at mypillow.com. We'll talk about a few more sponsors in the upcoming segments. Andy, let's go to you now again. Welcome back in. You want to comment on the My Pillow thing? That angers me. Does that anger you as much as it does me?
Oh, well, I say, you know what, if David Hogg, if that guy wants to start a pillow company, all the power to him. It's a free market. He can start he can start any kind of business that he wants to. All the power to him. He's going to make a special pillow for snowflakes to be able to cry in every time they go to sleep because people are not going to give up their gun rights. So he can make any kind of pillow they want. Look, I'm a huge fan of Mike Lindell. He's a wonderful guy. I watched the documentary over the weekend, Absolute Proof, and actually ended up spending the 2.5 hours to watch that video over the weekend, which was fascinating. So the fact that he's putting everything on the line because he feels the need to do so and get information out there, and he's willing to do that even with a company, I give him total props for. So I love the guy.
Yeah, I'm telling you, support the man. Let him know that gun owners support him, and many of you have. Use the promo code AAR. He sees it. I've spoken with him. I've spoken to his office, so make sure to do that. Let him know that gun owners support this man. He has supported this broadcast for nearly half a decade. He's a wonderful guy. All right, Andy, let's go ahead. Put an exclamation point on the Marco Rubio deal, okay? And the whole domestic terror. We could spend the hour doing that, but I got other things I want to talk with you about. Go ahead.
Well, yeah. I mean, real quickly, just as you mentioned, I mean, we're constantly battling for the right to keep and bear arms, and the fact that Marco Rubio jumped on board, we already knew he wasn't a big fan of Donald Trump. But the fact that now we have to fight amongst our own ranks within the Republican Party as opposed to just one side makes it all the more difficult when we're already outnumbered. We already have a minority in the House and the Senate. We don't have the presidency anymore, so it's tough to stop this stuff. But for Republicans to jump on board to the fear tactics, the fear mongering, and the political BS, if you want to call it that, that they're trying to attack Republicans as domestic terrorists at the federal level. The fact that Republicans are jumping on board, it's unfortunate, but it just shows what their true character is. We know who our allies are and who aren't.
I mean, you have to wonder what his motive is. I go back to Scott when Governor Scott was the governor in Florida, and Parkland happened as he was in the midst of his Senate run, and the media pressure was the incredible intensity of the media pressure that pushed Scott, apparently, because the only thing I can think of he was trying to appease was the media when he put forth 3 gun control bills in the state of Florida, which is unlike anything that you would have expected from him. In reality, a true leader would have stood up and says, no, we're not instituting any gun control on 20 million law-abiding Americans here in the state of Florida, but we're going to go after the root cause of what happened and why this kid was able to do what he did at Parkland and put a stop to it. That's true leadership. And Scott failed in that respect. Now we have Rubio, who after the Trump administration, you got to wonder the same question. Who is he trying to appease here? He's not under any media intensity like Scott was. I mean, let's give Scott a little bit of due there. I mean, the media pressure there, he was running for Senate. He had to appear to be doing something. We know how that works. I got to do something. All right? Rubio's not in that situation. So I don't know what his end game is here. But as we said,
I don't think he's trying to appease anybody. I think he's just scared of the optics. Most Republicans, they've
what
gone
optics,
back
though?
already.
He's not in any trouble. Nope, there's no optic out there that he's trying to fight against right now.
No, you're right. He's not. There's no optic, but that's where the weak, spineless Republican comes into play. Look, Donald Trump's gone 3 weeks already, and the Republicans have already forgotten how to stand up and say, you know what, I don't care how bad you attack me, media. We're not going to back down, and we're not going to change our opinion just because you want to call us scary names. Marco Rubio, along with Mitt Romney and Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, they're all the same rhinos, the same mushy ones, to where they're fearful of, if we stand firm on Second Amendment guns after a violent incident like that, we're going to look bad because we're supporting domestic terrorists, we're supporting radicalization. We need to come out soft and try to find some happy point so the media doesn't make fun of us and try and attack us and call us names like they did to Donald Trump. They're scared of actually having that negative publicity, which, like you said, there's no reason for it, but they've already forgotten the spine that Donald Trump showed that we can have, and they don't want it.
Well, obviously what he's trying to do is he's looking at January 6th, and I don't know, maybe he's feeling he has to do something, but he's drawing attention where it's not being drawn to him. If he would have just shut his mouth and moved, nobody was attacking him over this. So it's almost like he's trying to you learned in radio a long time ago, Andy, I did a long time ago, and I'm sure you know this as well. Never draw attention to a negative when you're coming back from a break. Don't go back to it if you screwed up. I'll give you a prime example. My clock was off just a couple minutes ago coming back from the last break, or going out to the last break. I was about 10 seconds off, all right? And I'm not going to come back and go, hey, sorry about that. I was 10 seconds off. You move on. And I don't understand why Marco Rubio just isn't moving on, because he's going to draw the ire of guys like Ted Cruz and others who are going to attack him like crazy in the caucus. It doesn't make sense. Don't know why he's doing it. It certainly isn't doing him any good, particularly at home in Florida, as DeSantis pulls Florida back from the brink of purple and hopefully turns my home state bright red again. This is not doing little Marco any favors. Let's move on now. There's a Forbes piece out. And Andy, you mentioned this. It was almost like we had talked about this before the show, which we did not. Caniglia v. Strom. In this case, the Supreme Court has agreed to hear this case. In this case, and I'm quoting from Forbes, Mr. Caniglia was arguing with his wife and melodramatically put an unloaded gun on the table and said, "Shoot me now and get it over with." His wife called a non-emergency number for the police, who arrived shortly thereafter. The police disagreed about whether Mr. Caniglia was acting normal or agitated, but they convinced him to take an ambulance to the local hospital for evaluation. And get this, Andy, they didn't accompany the ambulance. They suggested it. He agreed to. It wasn't forced. While he was on his way to the hospital, Mrs. Caniglia, his wife, told the police that her husband kept 2 handguns in the home. Now, the cops decided at that point to go and search his home without his permission and without obtaining a warrant. Now, in parentheses here, quoting from Forbes, Mrs. Caniglia's consent to have the police search their home was legally negated because the cops untruthfully told her that her husband had consented to the seizure of any guns, which he did not. So they lied to her to get consent. That's a clear violation of our Fourth Amendment rights. And quoting again, the police located and seized the 2 guns. Mr. Caniglia sued for the violation of his Fourth Amendment right to privacy and his Second Amendment right to keep handguns in the home for self-protection. The First Circuit Court of Appeals, the federal court just below the Supreme Court in Caniglia's jurisdiction, sided with the cops. When we come back, we're going to take this over to Andy and get some ideas. This is not a complicated case, or is it? But it's going to be a fun one to talk about. Andy brought it up. I set it up for you. We'll get his commentary when we come back. Don't go away.
So I hear David Hogg's brand of pillow is going to be called Cry Pillow.
You got to call it liberal tears.
Cry Pillow biters.
Kid's a little punk.
Can't stand him.
Let me ask you a question, Facebook viewers, YouTube viewers, and you, Greg.
Yep.
He's often referred to as Parkland Survivor.
Mm-hmm.
So let me set this up for you. So I'm in a mall with my wife. She decides, which she would want to do anyway to get away from me, I'm going all the way down there to Sears. I say, okay, I'm going all the way down here to whatever's on the other end. Pennies, whatever it is. I don't even know. Sears and Pennies aren't even in business anymore. But I haven't been to a mall in so long, couldn't tell you. Anyway, she goes all the way to the Anchor at one end of the mall. I go to the other. While I'm in my store, I hear all these alarms and stuff, and they evacuate the mall. I don't see nothing. But way down where my wife is, a quarter mile away at the end of the mall, a fire broke out because a couch spontaneously combusted in Macy's. How about that? Nobody knows how it went up in flames, just for fun. So the smoke begins filling the building, and they all leave. I don't know any of that. I don't see none of it. But I'm a survivor. Am I a mall fire survivor now?
No. A better
then how can you be not even in the same building, but because that was a 7-acre campus, and be an acre away in another building and be called a parkland survivor? I ask that seriously. I'm asking the question seriously. I'm not trying to be condescending, but I think that's a great analogy. Am I a survivor when I wasn't even in the same building?
It's the same as AOC saying that she had trauma from January 6th. It's the same as when Rudy Giuliani used to claim he was a 9/11 survivor. He wasn't in the Twin Towers.
Angelina Notelli says, if Hogg is a parkland survivor, so am I. Now, that's something that was a sensitive topic when it first went down. I asked that question on the air right after that went down. I don't believe that to be the case. He's no more a survivor of the shooting that occurred in a building he wasn't even in. Then he went home, got on his bike, and rode back when he found out what was going on and put his face in front of the media. So
you're only a survivor if you are somehow injured.
Or in that building, or scrambled to get out, even in a classroom down the hallway, or down on another floor, sure. Yeah, it's crazy.
No,
but we all know what AOC is doing. AOC is exploiting this for her own political gain, and it's working because she has the fourth estate, the media, in her hip pocket. So where are we on the break?
22.
Roger that.
All right, we're close. And 30.
Back to Armed American Radio's Daily Defense with Mark Walters.
Welcome back inside Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, the Gunbroker.com studios, the Crossbreed Holsters microphone. As I told you previously, on the heels of the Monster Cast, of course, yesterday, on hundreds of radio stations around the country. Yesterday, this was the Lead Slingers microphone, and of course, this was the Car Arms studio. It's awesome. All of it being presented to you by X Insurance. Now, some of you have commented, I've seen some emails. I apologize. I can't keep track of all of them now. There are thousands of them in there. I try to get as many as I can. But nonetheless, I've seen a couple of emails where people say, man, you're being pretty harsh to the competition when you're talking about X Insurance. And my response to that is, no, I'm not. I haven't named any competitor. I'm just simply telling you that when it comes to my freedom and my life, there are certain things I'm willing to do and certain things I'm not willing to do. I have the best of the best for homeowners. I have USAA for my homeowners. I have USAA for my automobiles. I have Geico for my boat. I have whatever I have for health. I Blue Cross, United Healthcare, and others for my health and for my life insurance, the same thing. Why would I cheap myself out when it came to my freedom? And what people were specifically referring to was a particular case where a young woman in Louisiana was dumped by her quote-unquote self-defense provider. It's not insurance. They didn't have insurance. The company did. They decided, we're not going to do that. She used a gun. No, we're not sticking around. And their attorney, when they were sued, had this to say, public record. It's not our policy. We didn't write it. So we shouldn't be responsible for being sued and having to pay. My response to that is, you sold it as your product. X Insurance would never do that to you. That's not being harsh. That's being real. I don't want that possibility when it comes to my freedom happening to me, and I don't want it coming to you. That's why I say get real insurance with a policy written in your own name, just like you do for your businesses, your life, your cars, your homes, your toys, your lifestyle. X Insurance has everything covered. Everything. That's why they're taking the firearms businesses, industry, CCW holders, law enforcement by storm. Join us, xinsurance.com, and see what we're talking about here. I have a real policy that blows away those membership plans. Get off the gimmicky stuff and get a real policy that protects you like you have for your homes. Andy, I take that serious. Welcome back, brother. I'm not cheaping out on insurance when it comes to my freedom and my life, bro.
Nope, that's the stuff that protects you just like you protect yourself each and every day, so that's what you got to do.
I'm telling you what. All right, Andy, let's go back to what we were just talking about in the previous segment, and let's talk a little bit about, I set it up for listeners for you. This case, so we should be allowed, our Fourth Amendment is at stake. Our cherished Fourth Amendment, next to the Second and the First, the Fourth, I would argue, is probably more important than any of the rest of them because it gives us the ability to feel secure and safe in our possessions, our homes, our things, our property, where government can't step in and take them from us without warrant. Those are formidable protections in the Fourth Amendment. Now, cops can come in, just take my stuff. Talk to us.
Yeah, I mean, not only is it a blatant violation of the Fourth Amendment and the Second Amendment, but, I mean, it's a grander picture. You look at it from the 30,000-foot view here. I mean, it really is just the continuation of the progressive agenda of there is no such thing as private property, which is what they want. I don't know if you remember the city councilwoman out of Denver, Colorado, that literally went out there and said, I'm a communist, and I do not believe that anybody should have any right to private property. We should be able to consume your home, your property, your land, your possessions, because you don't deserve those things. We need to believe in redistribution. We need to believe in confiscation. We need to believe in, whatever else that the progressives want. It's a grander scale. And now that we have the courts that apparently are too afraid to stand up and actually support what they said they were going to support, which is why Trump put them into office, when we have a Democrat president, when we have a Democrat-run legislature right now, it's really they're going to ram all of this down our throats and not just say we are here to promote our agenda and go as far to the extreme as we can, but we're also going to rub that salt in the wound. And right now the conservatives and the Trump supporters and the gun owners are the big person with the big old target on their backs of, hey, we're going to try and come in. You are a threat to society. You're a potential threat to yourself. We're going to take your firearm. We're going to seize your property. We're going to shut you down on social media so you can't spread that message. And we're going to suppress all the information in the news so that way no one knows what's actually going on to make you feel completely isolated. It's a very dangerous precedent they're setting here because they're openly and willingly wanting to trample on this stuff, and they want to find ways to justify it because Mark, you and I, we are threats to society and we're potential threats to our community. You should not be able to have this. So therefore, we need to forego our right in our Bill of Rights, the Fourth Amendment, Second Amendment, because it's for the greater good of society, because that's what they believe and they are in control, so no one's going to stop them.
Interestingly in this case, let me go back to Forbes because as I referenced in the previous segment leading into this for Andy, the First Circuit Court of Appeals sided with the cops in this case. They sided with the police. It was okay what they did. They lied to her about what her husband said so that they could sidestep the Fourth Amendment. Now, that's not okay. Now, I've got a textbook, The Tactics of Criminal Patrol, and I covered part of it in the wording was about the Fourth Amendment, and it was used in police academies around the country years ago. I don't know if it still is. The author was very well known, and his teachings about getting around the quote-unquote formidable protections of Fourth Amendment. It was very frightening to read. I'll pull that out and read it this week. It's very scary. It was essentially telling the cops, look, citizens have a Fourth Amendment protection, but here are some things you can do to kind of work around that. That's what this smells like. I don't like the way this stinks, Andy. Here's what the court wrote about their decision to side with the cops. At its core, the community caretaking doctrine, which says that the cops essentially have an ability and discretion to take care of the community. They've got to be able to do things and have some leeway, and nobody would argue with that. All right? Example of that would be a cop walks past a home, and in the window he sees somebody about to get stabbed. The cop can go in there and stop it. Or if he sees somebody having a heart attack on the other side of a fence, maybe in private property. He can enter that property to perform life-saving maneuvers, okay? So at its core, the community caretaking doctrine is designed to give police elbow room to take appropriate action when unforeseen circumstances present transient hazard that requires immediate action or attention. Understanding the core purpose of the doctrine leads inexorably to the conclusion that it should not be limited to the motor vehicle context. Threats to individual and community safety are not confined to the highways. Now, Forbes goes on, Andy, to say that, the Supreme Court's going to take a look at this. Next month, they're going to hear it. Okay, they're going to hear arguments next month. They've already agreed to take it. And so they're going to take a look at this case. And here's where they get a little bit more gutsy than I would. They close out the piece with this. The Supreme Court is going to take a very close look at this case, and there is a good chance that they will overrule the lower court's decision. Let me tell you something I've learned about the courts over the years. You don't know crap what they're going to do. And to even suggest that there's a good chance is disingenuous at best. You should never, ever, ever, you never know how a court is going to wake up, particularly this court, particularly with Roberts, Andy.
Yeah, I mean, they're so unpredictable. It's really hard to tell, and it's unfortunate again because you're right. I mean, the way they word that is really just the workaround of, well, it's a loosey-goosey law to allow law enforcement to do what needs to be done in the situation, which I understand, and I get it because, like you said, I mean, I agree with a lot of law enforcement being able to step in and do stuff. That's why you get nurses that don't even want to stop at a car accident now and even try and help because they could be sued if they end up not being able to save an individual. It's so tied up in litigation, which is unfortunate because we've put ourselves in that position, haven't we? We've gotten to the point to where we need to write a law on every step of life in every scenario and every situation because the jerks try to expand and try and push the boundaries on what they can and cannot do. And we've gotten to ourselves to that point where the laws dictate like how every breath on
30
to do as opposed to just using common sense and just using our own judgment of, you know what, maybe I should be doing this or maybe I shouldn't be doing this. This whole thing could have been prevented if, the spouse and, the couple wasn't arguing and the hothead didn't pull out a firearm and sit it on the table and make a snarky comment. I mean, that was uncalled for, and this whole thing could be prevented if they would use proper judgment in that situation. But now we have
let me put it this way.
Now they're searching the home.
Stupid is as stupid does. And that's what happened in this particular case. Andy, when we come back, I'm going to stay on the lines of stupid is as stupid does, but I'm going to put it this way. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Wait till you hear what a popular YouTuber did. I guess this kid was a prankster. I don't know. But when we come back, I'm going to tell you how he got himself dead and how there better not be any charges. What? I'll explain in just a couple minutes. Don't go away.
Last break.
Unreal.
Yeah, we're already here. It's like a time warp.
Yes. Yes, it was. Yes, it is. Did you hear about this?
I just saw that headline like a few minutes ago. I'm shocked.
It's unbelievable.
What a moron.
Unbelievable. And it is really, really hard to feel sorry for people like this. It really, truly is.
Thinning of the herd.
I mean, it is just, it's tough.
Apparently it ain't easy being stupid out there.
No, and Brad Primo. Di, how you doing? I see you in there. Oh, by the way, somebody had a really funny comment. Let me go back over to this, see if I can find this. I think it was Di when she said, Di, I'm talking to you, Mom. What, did you run out of words? She laughed with a big ha, 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 and a cry face. Yes, Mom, I did. He got me. It's his fault. You know what we're going to do? I haven't told him this yet, Mom. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to start taking callers, one segment every Sunday. What do you think about that, Greg?
Pass.
Thanks for calling Armed American Radio. Your question, please, for Mark. Oh, wouldn't that be tough?
No, it's not how you screen calls.
Don't tell anybody. Don't give it away.
because people can never get to the point when they call in. Never.
That's why I don't do callers. I did it at first a number of years ago. It was very difficult. And honest to God, true story, I believe I was talking with Dr. John Lott, and we were talking about some of his research when I took a call from someone in Wisconsin. And they said, hey, it's great to be here. And you get the proverbial, hey, I'm a long-time listener. I'm a first-time caller.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. What's your question for Dr. Lott, please? Because, the segments are short. You know how fast they go. Well, see, he goes on and on. I said, I need your question for Dr. Lott, please. He goes on and on. I said, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to cut you off, Bob, whatever his name is. I need your question. And he says, yeah, okay. He says, oh, it was a good conversation. I enjoyed listening about all that research. But my wife and I are getting ready to drive down to Florida from Wisconsin.
Bye.
Is my permit good in Tennessee? I'm like, dude, really seriously? That was your question? And it took a half a segment. So you listeners and viewers, really lose out when it comes to callers. And I don't like letting callers dictate the content and the direction of the program. That's just me.
No one cares what Pete in Pennsylvania has to say.
If done in the right way on a Friday, for example, for an hour, and it was all caller driven about, whatever they wanted to talk about relative to this genre, that would be okay. But you never know who's coming through. It's too dangerous out there now. You just never know, and I'm not going to risk my career at the hands of some idiot Baba Booey.
Mm-hmm.
And yours
30.
either. 30?
I got it.
The following segment of Armed American Radio is being brought to you by Defender Coffee. When you drink Defender Coffee, you're making a donation to a gun rights organization of your choice that protects and defends your freedoms. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the show, indeed. I am actually out of Defender Coffee. I have the mug in here, and I had a little bit of a sugar-free Red Bull earlier today as well. But my wife and I just got the 5-pound bag, and it comes in a really big box, and it is really a big bag of coffee. And I'm going to be honest with you, we're not drinking that much coffee. I'm a couple, 2.5, 3 pounds ahead, but I'd rather have it than not, right? Kind of like a firearm. DefenderCoffee.com. The promo code is AAR. Get 15% off everything over there every single day. Derek and those guys love us over there. So support them. Here's why. Your portion of the profits, you get to pick where it goes. I send mine to the Second Amendment Foundation every year. Defender Coffee sends a check to the Second Amendment Foundation for lots of money, depending on how many people also choose the SAF. I would if I were you. North American Arms. We're going to do some giveaways with North American Arms. We're going to do some promotions with X, and we're going to do some promotions with Gunbroker. Those are all coming up. COVID put a real, kind of tamped a lot of things down. Couldn't get into warehouses, couldn't get what we needed. All that's breaking up a little bit. All that's breaking up. People are starting to walk around and take their face diapers off and realize, you know what? Fauci don't run my life. If I want to go to a Super Bowl party, I'm going. Good for you. I would suggest another party because I'm not a big NFL fan, but nonetheless, you get the idea. Fauci, this guy. Time to go away. Car Arms. Now, Front Sight, real quick, let me tell you about that. FrontSight.com/Mark. Ignatius Piazza is going to be on the show either this weekend coming up or next. We're working on it. He's got some great ideas about what we need to do going forward for what we know these coming attacks are going to be. You can check out everything, and you can support him and us. It costs you nothing. FrontSight.com/Mark. Get the $2,000 certificate for the 4-day course. Use it, don't use it, do whatever you want with it. That right there helps keep this show on the airwaves for another year. Please support us, and please support Ignatius Piazza in his endeavors as well. Andy Hooser, the voice of reason, welcome back. I told you, stupid is there's an old friend there. You remember old Forrest Gump, right? Stupid is as stupid does. You're right. You remember that, right? And then you've got another saying.
Absolutely.
There's you can't fix stupid. And then there's play stupid games, win stupid prizes. This one here is unreal. And I hate to sound like I'm coming off unsympathetic, but I don't really care. Because sometimes, there are consequences to actions and decisions you make in life. This kid was a 20-year-old YouTuber by the name of Timothy Wilkes. I don't know anything about him. I don't follow him. I don't know what he does or who he is. But I know what I'm reading. I guess he does pranks, Andy, and got popular on YouTube by doing, I guess filming pranks. Well, let me tell you something. When you take a handful of butcher knives and you approach somebody in a parking lot of a mall and you start walking towards them with knives in Nashville, Tennessee, expect the last thing you'll ever see to be a muzzle flash. And that is exactly what happened in this case. When cops arrived on the scene, they found 23-year-old David Starnes, who admitted to shooting Wilkes. And I'm quoting, detectives said Wilkes and a friend told him they were participating in a prank robbery as part of a YouTube video. Andy, I don't know if you're joking around or not. You come at me with knives attempting to tell me you're robbing me, I'm going to put you down. I'm going to put you down. I'm going to shoot you. Now, this guy had better not be charged. I don't believe he's going to be. He hasn't been. He obviously believed that this was a robbery. Am I right in saying play stupid games, win stupid prizes? I mean, this is a case of what are you doing, you idiot? My God.
Well, when you first said play stupid games, win stupid prizes, I really thought you were going to talk about David Hogg making a pillow company.
No, that's too easy. That's too easy.
But look, this really shows a bigger concern, doesn't it? I mean, okay, you make a video, you make a YouTube channel, you're a successful, whatever, semi-successful guy making YouTube videos, pulling pranks on people. That's all fine and dandy. But when you think about it, the grander scheme is here. They don't even think about guns in society any longer or anybody having guns. They thrive. That kind of prank thrives off the idea that everybody is a scared, helpless little victim who's never going to be able to defend themselves. So it didn't even cross their mind that there would be someone out there with a handgun that's going to say, wait a second, you're robbing me or you're coming after me with a knife. I'm going to pull a firearm and I'm going to protect myself. That didn't even cross their mind for them to think, gee, let me film this and try and scare a whole bunch of people to show how dumb they are because I'm going to chase them around with a knife and try and rob them as a prank. I mean, the fact that didn't cross their mind to say, gee, maybe someone's going to try and defend themselves just shows that for a lot of individuals, especially the younger generation that's all about YouTube and social media like my generation, that maybe the Second Amendment and guns aren't really first a thought. And that's kind of a concerning thought to me.
Andy, I'll tell you, your generation eats Tide Pods, dude. All right, let's get real. Is this, honestly, I'm not intending to kid about this. I mean, this is so stupid that you have to, because what you said, sadly, is more than likely 99.9% true. That these kids, never 20 years old, yeah, you're a kid, I'm sorry. Even though you're an adult at 18, you're still a kid. You haven't been around long enough. In my estimation, you haven't been around long enough to be driving, but that's an argument for another program and another genre of radio. The fact of the matter is this proves that. All right? That the fact that this kid never thought that was even a possibility, I mean, you would have to think that when I was 20 years old, if somebody said to me, hey, let's go take knives and scare those kids and pretend we're robbing them, my first response would have been, dude, no, I don't want to go to jail. For what? Pranking a bunch of kids?
Yeah.
I mean, I had fear of the judicial system. Now, in today's day and age, you have fear for your life. This is Nashville, Tennessee. Okay, this isn't New York City where somebody's unarmed for the most part, unless you're another criminal. But my gosh, the stupidity here, it's hard. I know it sounds so harsh, but it is really, really hard to feel sorry for somebody in this situation when you brought this on yourself. It's just, I can't call it tragic.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who it's tragic for.
No.
It's tragic for the guy who had to shoot the guy, who thought he was being robbed and now realized it was a prank. This 23-year-old's got to live with that the rest of his life because he was put in position by a satellite radio moment word dummy. My gosh. But, no charges have been placed. We'll follow it. I can't believe there would be. I hope to God there's not, Andy. Your thoughts before we go.
No, well, again, I mean, this is really social media has turned out to be the social experiment of society to where people are preying on people's vulnerabilities and stupidity for sure, because if they're not scared of people pulling a firearm, then that not a whole lot of other people are scared about it either. It's kind of like those other social media pranks where you see the guy run up throw a backpack onto a park bench where a bunch of people are sitting and they take off running just to make people wig out and wonder what the heck's going on. I mean, if that happened again, same scenario, you'd be pulling a firearm saying, hold on, stop, and you'd be stopping that person to see what the heck's going on. But with so few people actually wanting to defend themselves in society anymore, it's not a thought for a lot, and it really is. It's preying on people's vulnerability, and social media and these types of videos are turning out to be the social experiments of today.
Yeah, let me hear some advice for you. If you open that bag of detergent and it smells like detergent, don't eat it. And if you're intent on pranking someone and showing up with a butcher knife, expect you might be... Please, use the gift of the brain that God gave you, my gosh. Andy Hooser, the voice of reason.
I got to go eat a Tide Pod before my show.
You make sure you eat a couple of them. Make sure, they're breath mints. They're just big fat breath mints, bro, with a nice lemony squeeze in the center of them. Good luck with you. The Millennial General, Andy Hooser, the voice of reason, knows better than to eat Tide Pods. Until we meet tomorrow on the radio, carry on, carry often, carry absolutely everywhere. Never leave your cave without your club. No self-respecting caveman would have ever been caught outside his cave without his club. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow.
You've just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by X Insurance. X Insurance on the Armed American Radio Network.
And that's a wrap.
Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. I apologize for the flummox when you gave me the 30 seconds. That was my bad.
It's okay, man. Don't matter.
Let's see.
Another fastest hour in radio.
Unbelievable stuff. All right, Home Slice. I'll see if you don't need me for anything.
I'm good if you're good. See you tomorrow.
Let me give you a quick update. Let me give you a quick update on the AAR office.
All right.
The electric is going to begin running tomorrow. We're running the electric tomorrow.
Nice.
I'm not running electric. I don't know anything about it. I'd kill myself.
Sure.
But the guys are running the electric tomorrow. So by the end of the day, probably Wednesday afternoon, we will have a full electric suite in there. And we expect that within 2 weeks, we could be broadcasting from the new shed, baby.
It's going to be longer in 2 weeks.
Not with this crew I got, believe me. They're pretty good.
You gonna soundproof that room?
Yes, to a certain extent. I'm gonna have to. I'll let you know when we get close to it.
Yeah, because it's gonna be a hollow room echo.
It won't be when we're done, but the insulation that we're using and everything else. But yeah, it is now. A lot of it's gonna have to do with the flooring. I'll explain that when I get a chance to talk with you tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fine.
But all right, dude, I'm out. And listeners, fans, thank you for being here today. Appreciate every bit of it. Every one of you. Love you to death. Let me check and see. Greg, I'll let you slide. Go. Get out of here. Go. Get away.
Cool.
Go. All right, we just got rid of Greg. He's awesome, didn't he? See how easy that was? Just a click of a mouse. All right, guys, let's see if I got questions in here that I can answer for you. Grazie for the show. Thanks, Angelina. Appreciate it. Paul, I'll have some pictures up when we're ready to rock and roll. I do have them from the very beginning up. It's not a big facility. It's only 20 feet long, about 12 feet wide, but it's cool. It's perfect for the studio because that's all it is a studio. Ron, what's going on? Yeah, Greg is the best, Dubes. I'm telling you, he really is. So I always get this question about the hat that I'm wearing right now. Okay, PRG. What does the PRG mean up here? Pink Ribbon Girls. You guys know my wife survived breast cancer about 3 years ago. She was diagnosed. It was brutal. It sucked. We made it public on the show here so that others could benefit from you and from her treatment and find what we went through. She beat it 100%, 100% clean after surgeries. In fact, the chemo wiped it out for her when they went in to do the surgery. She had nothing left in her, so it was perfect. That was a good thing. My good friend Kurt Schilling, Major League Baseball Hall of Famer, in my estimation. He's a Hall of Famer. He'll eventually get in next year. But Kurt Schilling and I are good friends, and his wife is now suffering with breast cancer. And from time to time, I wear this hat just in honor of Shonda and my wife, rather than the 2A hat here, which I generally wear when I'm on air. But this is just a reminder. I had a very good friend call me today out of the blue, someone I've known for nearly 30 years, going in for a biopsy today. They say he may have lung cancer. So this was just a reminder to put the PRG hat on and remind people that cancer sucks. It's real, and it affects us all. So just a reminder today. All right, guys, I'm out. We'll get the podcast up for you here shortly. And lots of fun stuff and big news coming up in the next days and weeks ahead, I can promise you. Conversations are flowing constantly. I will talk to you tomorrow. See you guys on the radio.